Well, you are looking live at the United States Supreme Court, where today the Roe versus Wade decision establishing the right to an abortion has been overturned. Now, individual states can decide for themselves whether to allow the procedure. And here in Arkansas, that decision has been made. Well, good evening to you. Thanks for being with us tonight. We do have Team 7 coverage of today's historic decision with reaction from all corners of the state and the nation. We're going to begin tonight outside the Arkansas State Capitol, where our Brenda Lipinski is standing by with demonstrators who have gathered this afternoon. Brenda.
That's right, Chris. So this event starts at 5:30, but people have already been trickling in. And right now, next to me, we have Julie McDonald, who's with the Progressive Arkansas Women's PAC. Now, Julie, this decision is going to impact millions of women across the country. Tell me, how are you feeling?
I'm feeling angry and devastation, I think, a little bit of despair, just not knowing what is going to happen for sure. This will impact everybody who can reproduce, and so it's a wide-ranging emotion.
A stir of emotions, basically. Yes. Now, tell me, after hearing this decision, what is next?
So what Progressive Arkansas Women PAC does is we focus on electing women who are progressive and pro-choice. But this is a rally. We felt like people needed to come out and express emotion and gather together. It cannot end at a rally. It has to end at the voting booth. If you're not registered, please get registered. Please go to the polls. Please know where your candidates stand on this issue in particular. Call your legislators. Call all legislators.
Thank you so much, Julie. Now, later on, they'll have Clark Tucker and Joyce Elliott join the protest as well. On your side at the state capitol, I'm Brenda Lipinski.
Brenda, thanks. We'll see you back here at 6 o'clock.
Your Metro First Forecast with Chief Meteorologist Barry Brandt.
Hot and dry mainly today, not like the few scattered thunderstorms we had yesterday. Let's take a look at the evening, and it will stay in the 90s up until about 8 p.m. Only slowly falling below that later. I see a couple of showers around Fort Smith, one thunderstorm northwest of Harrison right on the Missouri line, and the rest of the state is dry, and we are hot. 95 at Russellville, Little Rock, 96 Hot Springs, 100 at Texarkana, and 99 at Queen. And the few clouds that we had in the sky earlier, they're gone off the Middleton weather cam. Mostly clear, and 74 the overnight low, followed by a 100-degree day tomorrow, tying the hottest day we've had so far this year. Relief is in sight, still scheduled to be here, and I'll show you the timing of it ahead. Chris.
Okay, Barry, thanks so much. Well, the Supreme Court's decision this morning to reset the abortion debate did not come as a surprise, but it is certainly reverberating all around this country. Our national correspondent Atra Al-Nashar has a closer look at what the Dobbs decision means.
A majority of the Supreme Court ending half a century of precedent under Roe versus Wade. In their opinion, Justices Alito, Gorsuch, Kavanaugh, and Barrett rule the Constitution makes no express reference to a right to obtain an abortion.
They argued that the right to an abortion is not deeply rooted in the nation's history and traditions, and therefore it's not a constitutional right.
A criteria law professor Paul Collins at University of Massachusetts Amherst says has no precise definition. Chief Justice Roberts writes a concurring opinion he agrees with upholding Mississippi's 15-week abortion ban, but would not have overturned Roe. The majority opinion says other rights like right to privacy, contraception, same-sex marriage are not directly affected by the court's opinion. Justice Clarence Thomas, in his concurring opinion, says they should all be reconsidered.
I think it's safe to say that those rights are under threat despite the language in the majority opinion.
Justice Breyer, Sotomayor, and Kagan signing on to the dissenting opinion, one Collins describes as scathing.
Ultimately, they conclude that this is really a raw exercise of political power by a conservative court that is going to take away women's reproductive autonomy, making them less than full citizens.
As access to abortion is now left in the purview of states, a lot of women and girls are wondering what it means for them. Sky, you're from Virginia. Do you worry about losing access to reproductive care?
Of course, all the time.
Others celebrating.
We're overwhelmed with happiness. We're so excited for it to go down to the states.
Now that Roe is overturned, abortion bans in 13 states with trigger laws immediately going into effect. Another 13 are expected to follow. But enforcing those laws likely won't look the same everywhere and may even be difficult. More than half the country entering a new normal, one that existed before Roe v. Wade. At the Supreme Court, I'm Atrell Nashar reporting.
Well, President Biden calls the Supreme Court's overturning of Roe versus Wade a tragic error and a sad day for the court and the country. And he says the fight is not over. He's urging Congress to codify Roe into federal law.
My administration will use all of its appropriate lawful powers, but Congress must act. And with your vote, you can act. You can have the final word. This is not over.
Well, the president also blasted the court for taking away a right that had been recognized for 50 years. He says that decision will have real and immediate consequences. Well, here in Arkansas, abortion is now banned with one exception: to save the life of the mother. The Arkansas Attorney General today certifying the so-called Arkansas Human Life Protection Act, which passed back in 2019. Our senior political reporter, Maureen Glisovic, joins us live now from outside the Capitol with more on that. Maureen.
Well, Chris, as you mentioned, Arkansas lawmakers passed what's known as a trigger law, which it means if and when Roe v. Wade was overturned, it would take effect immediately. As we all know by now, that trigger has become a reality. Now, Act 180 bans all abortions except to save a mother's life in an emergency situation. There are no exemptions for rape or incest victims. And if medical professionals continue to perform abortions, they face up to $100,000 in fines or up to 10 years in prison. This law also bans over-the-counter medications such as Plan B, the morning after pill. Now, just hours ago, as you mentioned, Attorney General Leslie Rutledge certified the law with a signing ceremony. Also in attendance was Governor Asa Hutchinson and some lawmakers, including House Speaker Matthew Shepard. Rutledge describing this as a historical moment for Arkansas.
I will always recall where I was when the Dobbs decision came down. And as the first woman ever elected Attorney General, and as someone who it took a long time for God to decide that it was time for me to be a mom, I can't wait for other women across Arkansas to have that same joy of seeing their child's face that maybe they would not have seen had it not been for today's decision.
Personally, I'm grateful for the court's ruling today because I have fought for a number of decades for greater protections for the unborn throughout my political life. And as governor, I'm gratified by the court's decision because the people of Arkansas have declared the public policy of this state is to protect the life of the unborn.
And I spoke with Senator Jason Rayburn, the author of Act 180. We'll hear from him next hour, him calling today a victory. Live in Little Rock, on your side, Maureen Glisovic.
Okay, Maureen, thanks so much. We'll see you at 6. Other Arkansas political leaders also reacting to the Dobbs decision today. The 2nd District Congressman French Hill saying, quote, "As a man of faith and as a father, I have always and will continue to support policies that uplift families and value life. I am pleased with the Supreme Court's decision today that elevates life by affirming that there is no constitutional right to an abortion." Senator Tom Cotton says Roe was a tragic mistake, taking from the American people and their elected representatives a deeply moral question. The Supreme Court, he says, has finally corrected this mistake, and I highly commend the millions of Americans who toiled for years to achieve this great victory. And Governor Hutchinson, who you heard from a moment ago, also reacting, saying, "For decades I have said Roe v. Wade was wrongly decided. Today the Supreme Court overturned the abortion ruling and returned the issue to the states. Arkansas is a pro-life state," he says, "and we are able now to protect life." You can read more reaction from more leaders on our website, KATV.com. Well, we'll take a break, but still ahead here on Channel 7 News at 5 o'clock. We'll continue to follow the impact of the Supreme Court decision today. In 9 minutes, we'll hear from some Arkansans who are celebrating and those who are not.
Tomorrow could be the hottest day of the year and the hottest feeling day of the year, but it won't last forever. I'll show you what part of the weekend could have some cooler air ahead.
Channel 7 News at 5, brought to you by Saracen Casino, Pine Bluff. Weather Cams, sponsored by Middleton Heat and Air. From the weather team with the most experience, this is Chief Meteorologist Barry Brandt.
Some brand new model information coming in on the amount of heat we'll have tomorrow, what it will actually feel like with heat index, and the timing and amount of rainfall. I've got it all for you, but first this from our sponsor.
Make this summer one to remember with the Diamond Collection at Sissy's Log Cabin. From exclusive designers to one-of-a-kind treasures, you'll find the perfect diamond jewelry, all while enjoying the very best in service and experience, in-store or online.
Make the diamond of her dreams come true.
At the best prices guaranteed.
Sissy's Log Cabin, because life's too short for ordinary jewelry.
We had one day so far at 100 degrees. We'll have another one tomorrow, it appears. That's what all the models are kind of indicating. Some a little below that. It won't really matter. It'll feel like more than that. 96 on Sunday. That's before the front goes through. So you're saying, well, a front's going to come through on Sunday. Yeah, but before it, it's really going to be hot. It'll be later in the day that we start to see cooler air and temperatures for 3 days anyway that go back to the upper 80s with lower humidity, and that makes all the difference, right? So the heat index readings are going to be well over the heat advisory category or the criteria for Saturday, even touching it on Sunday before we get some cloud cover, some rain late in the day. And then it's going to be pleasant, a little bit of muggy on Wednesday as humidity starts back and other rain chances long term. Tomorrow, a heat advisory already issued. It'll be from 1 o'clock to 8 o'clock in the afternoon. That's when we think that the heat advisory or the heat index will rise to about 105 degrees. And if you're going to be out, even if it's out on the lake or wherever, take breaks, get in the shade, drink plenty of water if you're going to be exerting yourself at all, because that's going to be a brutal day with the heat and the humidity. Tonight, a couple of showers around Fort Smith and up into Carroll County, and that's about it. We had the front go through, stalling out. Now it's going to be pushing back, and that will kind of open the floodgates to not rain, but to heat rolling back in for tomorrow. Notice carefully what this model says about tomorrow afternoon at 5 o'clock. 1 or 2 or 3 isolated showers somewhere, but don't count on it. There's nothing really to trigger these except just extreme heat and humidity. Somebody will probably get a downpour of rain. It will last about 10 minutes and be gone. And that's it. So we're looking at Sunday. In the morning, we'll see the showers starting to pop up in some spots that won't last a long time. Not everybody will see rain. The front will then continue to push on down through. And Monday should start the drying process after an early chance of rain south, and then followed by what I call the good stuff. And that's for Monday, for Tuesday, and even Wednesday of next week. Rain amounts, not all that impressive, maybe a little more up to the north. There's our Middleton weather cam. Looks like a fire off in the distance. Set it up around Mayflower. But otherwise, mostly clear. A stray shower at best early. I'm going to take that out probably. 74 the low, 100 for the high. Heat index 108. Yeah, that's high. And then on Sunday, our best opportunity for rain in a while, 40%. Early Monday, followed by 3 dry, comfortable days. And there are other rain chances in that long-term forecast, Thursday through Sunday of next week. Hopefully, those come to fruition. We're going to need rain, Chris.
Okay, bring on the good stuff. We're ready for that. Barry, thanks very much. Well, after the break, we continue our coverage of the Supreme Court's decision today overturning Roe versus Wade. We'll hear from both sides of that contentious debate next. Well, welcome back. We continue our coverage now of the Supreme Court decision overturning Roe versus Wade. It was a move the Conservative Family Council had advocated for years. And today that group's leadership reacted. Channel 7's Kristen was there, and she joins us now live from downtown Little Rock with what they had to say. Kayla.
With Arkansas being one of the most pro-life states in the nation, today is a celebration for many who believe it is a triumph for democracy. Since Roe v. Wade was instated in 1973, many conservatives have spent the last 50 years fighting to have the law reversed. They believe it is most fair to allow each state to decide how abortion is handled among their citizens. The Little Rock Family Council held a press conference earlier today sharing how they believe abortion was never a right placed in the Constitution and how they are planning to move forward now that Roe v. Wade has officially been overturned.
We are all about protecting women, all about protecting those that don't have a voice, the unborn. So this is a great opportunity for us as well.
Jerry Cox with the Family Council shared that now abortion is officially illegal. It is time for Arkansas to step up to help girls and women with unplanned pregnancies. On your side in Little Rock, I'm Kayla Christian.
Okay, Kayla, thank you so much for that. Well, the reaction from the other side of the abortion debate is markedly different tonight. Our Desmond Nugent is on your side. He checked in with an abortion rights group on where they plan to go next. Desmond.
Catherine West with the Progressive Arkansas Women PAC says they will continue to fight for women's rights and support organizations like Planned Parenthood. She says overturning Roe v. Wade is a huge step backwards for women's rights. She also says this is women's worst nightmare. Now, she says, West says the Supreme Court's decision is not the will of Arkansans, nor the majority of women around the country. She says they've been fighting at the state capitol for months in preparation for this day, but she says they never thought it would happen.
This is not the will of the majority of Arkansas people or of the American people. The Supreme Court has ruled that the minority and the religious minority will tell women what to do about any of their reproductive care, reproductive health.
Now, tonight at 6, one state lawmaker expresses her concerns about the future of women's rights here in Arkansas. On your side in Little Rock, Desmond Nugent.
Okay, Desmond, thanks so much. We'll see you then at 6 o'clock. Well, more news ahead after this break, including a new report from the CDC that finds HIV cases are down across the country. So why do some doctors say that's not a good thing? We'll take a look next. Monday is National HIV Testing Day, and a new report says in a pandemic, this may be more important than ever. Our medical reporter Liz Bonus explains why. Liz.
Hey there, hello to you. This new report shows a drop in new cases of HIV being diagnosed during the pandemic. And while usually this would be cause to celebrate, infectious disease specialists say in this case it appears it poses a new danger.
The danger? Those who have HIV don't know it.
I'm not convinced that HIV numbers are going down, but testing is going down.
HIV researcher Dr. Carl Fichtenbaum is likely right. For years as an infectious disease instructor at Ohio's University of Cincinnati, he has tracked the trends. This newly released CDC report shows nationwide new cases of HIV dropped nearly 20% in the first year of the pandemic. Even before the pandemic began, the CDC estimated more than 1 million people were living with HIV in the U.S., and almost 1 in 6 were unaware of it. Now that number could be even higher.
And so then the question is, will those missing people be transmitting to others because they don't realize they have it?
I think there's a thought that if you had HIV, you would know it.
I think what happens is you get sick with a cold or a flu, and you feel pretty bad. And given the fact that we've had a COVID pandemic, some people might even think they had COVID.
Dr. Fichtenbaum says just as with COVID-19, people often recover quickly and feel better when the body begins to control the HIV infection.
But the virus doesn't go away. It's still inside you, and you are still able to transmit it to other people. You're still contagious.
The CDC now says all teens and adults 18 to 64 should be tested for HIV at least once in a lifetime, and those who have higher risk of exposure, including anyone who's sexually active with multiple partners, should be tested more often. I'm medical reporter Liz Bonus. Now back to you.
Okay, Liz, thank you so much. We'll take a break and wrap up Channel 7 News at 5 right after this. Well, welcome back once again. Channel 7 News live at the Arkansas State Capitol, where demonstrators have gathered after today's historic overturning of Roe v. Wade by the United States Supreme Court. Here in Arkansas, the Attorney General Leslie Rutledge today certifying Arkansas's trigger law passed back in 2019 that immediately outlaws abortion here in Arkansas with the overturning of Roe. with one lone exception, that being for the health of the mother. If the mother's life is in danger, an abortion can be provided. Otherwise, the procedure has been outlawed in our state. You can see demonstrators on the move right now. We'll be following them over the next half hour and throughout this night. We'll have the latest for you coming up on Channel 7 News at 6, later tonight at 10, and of course anytime on KATV.com. That does it for Channel 7 News at 5. World News Tonight with David Muir is next. We'll be back in half an hour. We'll see you at 6.